I got an email this morning from somebody in our PR department. We got an email from one of our consumers who ran an experiment in his own backyard using our turf builder grass seed and one of our top competitors, Pennington, which some of you may have seen some of the advertising we've had going back and forth with them. This particular gentleman was so impressed with his backyard experiment that he wanted to figure out how we could put it online. And you think about the power that that has in our industry when you can impact consumers in a way that they want to do the marketing for you. And that's really what this is all about. As Morgan had mentioned, I met him years ago. We are an Exact Target client. He was with Exact Target. And I'd asked Morgan to come out to Scott's and do a little study on our email program. There we go. It's on that side. And so one of the things that Morgan had indicated when he studied our program was, you guys are kind of like an old vintage car. Your program's cool, but it's not as innovative as you guys think it is. And talk about hitting close to home. So I said, all right, we're going to be cool. We're going to make this cool. And I think we've done a lot of innovation over the years. But do you remember a time when email was fun? And by fun, I mean, I'm going to show my age, but back in the 90s when I was an undergrad at Ohio State and I signed up for my first email account, I remember people would run to the computer lab because we did not have tablets and laptops that we carried all around. And you'd run to the computer lab to see if you got email. And people would send jokes, and they would send just funny little like tips or, hey, we're all getting together at Papa Joe's tonight, or whatever. And it was fun. And you'd get things like this. Okay, you're at a party, and you have to go to the bathroom, and there's only one house you're in. You open the door, and now you have to scroll down on your scroll bar, and you get something like this. And you would forward it to your friends. But you wouldn't forward it to every friend. You would forward it to friends that you would think that's funny. And in a way, that was kind of an expression of you, an expression of those friends within that circle that you say had that type of sense of humor. Or you'd get an email like this, now starting to play on some of the scams that were out there. This new scam's being pulled mainly on older men. What happens is that when you stop for a red light, a young nude woman comes up and pretends to be washing your windshield. While she's doing this, another person opens your back door and steals anything in the car. They're very good at this. They got me 7 times Friday, 5 times Saturday. I wasn't able to find them on Sunday. Again, funny, I might not send that to my female friends, right? I'm certainly going to send that to my dad. But you know, then email became a victim. And defending our turf became work, especially as marketers, but even more so as people. Because we were using this to communicate to each other, and now you have a whole bunch of outsiders stealing our email addresses and trying to communicate to us. And so you might get something like this as well. This was a popular email scam that went around about this girl, Amy Bruce, who had cancer. And this thing was forwarded millions of times. Turns out there was no Amy Bruce. Why would somebody do something like this? Well, in a way, they are fishing for your email address. But they all kind of had this similar take. Take action, and there's guilt. What goes around comes around if you don't forward this. And you saw similar things too. Prayer requests, you're a bad person if you don't forward this. Forward it to 10 friends, and MSN will donate $1 for every time you forward it. And then you would get ones like these as well. You could usually tell that they were fake because they have very proper grammar. I don't have any child that will inherit this money, and my husband and relatives are not Christians, and I don't want, et cetera, et cetera. Same thing. There's a situation, guilt if you don't do this, and hey, there's action, send money. But marketers aren't really blameless. And we got to a point where we were so bad at email marketing, you would hear things like blast. And I'm here to tell you that email marketers don't blast anything. I can't stand it when people in my company come and ask us for when's our next email blast. He just blasted Nerf guns. I'm sure he's not blasting any email. But then their software and services became available to sort of filter these things out. I mean, that's a ridiculous inbox, 911, which could just be a coincidence that there were 911, pun intended. But you got delete buttons, you got this is spam buttons, you got filtering, you can color code things, you can sort it by day of the week. Then there are services that come along. There's turning images off and on, right? Companies like Postini that eventually get bought out by Google. So what happens is the email and communications cause a behavioral shift, right? We now have, the average person has anywhere from 3 email addresses. You probably have one for work, when what you're starting to do is you're starting to say personal email messages are okay to come there. Work email messages are okay to come here. E-commerce and things come here. Those of you that have kids and stuff, and you get a lot of things from school and from sporting events, you may create another one here so you don't lose any of those messages. You start to think, which email addresses do I check often? Do I check them daily? Some of you are checking email right now. You might check it 500 times a day. You may only check that email address once a week. And that's going to determine which services you may sign up for. If those alerts are important to you, get on a daily basis, you're certainly not going to give the email address where you get it once a week, would you? And so this is from ExactTarget's subscribers, friends, and followers report. So I wanted to just point out a couple things that you see here is in their report, you're starting to see a little bit of that shift as well. And in the years from when the report was first done to now, you see a decrease in the amount of people are saying that email is good for personal communication, but you do see a rise in what we refer to as marketers as permission marketing. Email is also, or while it has increased as a preferred channel for permission marketing, but also you're going to see texting become even more important as we reduce the costs and the barrier for mobile phones and the cost for data plans continue to go down. Occasionally in research, there's sort of this moment, and maybe, Jeff, it's the way you guys asked the question, but why would anyone say that direct mail is good for personal communication? Maybe they don't really understand what direct mail is. That one stuck out to me, but that's not good for direct mail if that number continues to go down. And you've seen it with the phone calls and the do not call list, and there are ways to eliminate junk mail that you get at home. But again, what you're starting to see is a pattern of people saying, this communication is either relevant or not relevant to me, and what manner do I want that communication delivered to me? And as marketers, we have to think about that. I mean, earlier this morning, good presentation from the folks this morning talking with the Family Feud game, but the questions were posed to executives. What are the problems you have with the email? Why aren't we posing questions to consumers? Why aren't we posing those questions to our customers? There were actually some of the answers, and I'll be honest with you. I'm like, why would executives be worried about re-engagement? What are they trying to accomplish that re-engagement is that important that it became the #1 answer? Again, from the subscribers, friends, and followers report, I thought something that was very interesting there was breaking down the different channel preferences, and it goes right to what I was talking about now. You're going to ask yourself when you subscribe to something or you're interacting with a business, is the content a marketing message? And what we're starting to see is people are saying if it's marketing, then it's formal. And I'm not going to sign up with my personal email address. Is it business related? The immediacy, how quickly do I need to know? If I want to know immediately, again, I'm not going to sign up for that email address that I look at once a week. But guess what? A text alert may be important in that aspect. Privacy, whether it's perceived or real. And by that I mean you can set your privacy limitations on email and Facebook, et cetera. There's also a perceived notion of, well, Facebook, the people I interact with there, it's very private to me. So I may not want to friend a certain brand that I want to see all my network see that shows up in my feed. Again, the formality of it, and then initiation, which is really moving the message offline. And we do that a lot at Scott's. We'll get contacted via Facebook about things, and we want to create a case internally so that we can follow that, especially if someone's complaining about a product. So we'll ask them to either email us or give us a call so we can start a formal case on that and track that. Again, the preferred channels for permission-based messages, email far and away the leader here. But again, think about what that means, permission-based. When people interact with us on Facebook and Twitter, things like that, they're not really thinking, am I giving you permission to market with me? So we throw that term around a lot, and we have to be careful. And so you start to see things like this. Like us on Facebook. Find us on Facebook. Well, which is it? Thumbs up. Again, like us on Facebook. And then my all-time favorite that I found, not only like us on Facebook, but follow us on Twitter. Hey, find us all at once. It actually sounds like a stalker. Isn't that what stalkers do? They like you, then they follow you, and then eventually you have to call the cops. But as the thumb the same as permission. Is it? But Facebook's evolving just like email has. There are scams. This thing was liked or forwarded, shared close to 1 billion times. It's a scam. This guy shot his daughter's laptop. We all shared it with our friends. Thought it was funny. Frosty's going to die soon. Funny picture. Hey, let's share that with our friends. Next thing you know, there's viruses and scams trying to get our personal information. Now they want your mobile phone. And here come the marketers. Filter, filter, filter. Looks a lot like what happened in the email industry, doesn't it? And there's the S word. Darn it. It's work. You've probably seen a status update like this too. People need to understand that children with special needs don't have an illness. They're not looking for a cure, only acceptance. 93% of you probably won't copy and paste this. You will be in the 7% that will. And leave it on your status for at least an hour. Special Education Week is March 22nd to the 26th. Reflection, art imitating life. Put this on your status if you know someone or related to someone who's been attacked by ninjas. My wish is that people will understand that being attacked by ninjas is not something to be ashamed of. Ninjas are nearly unstoppable and are truly terrifying. 93% of you won't copy and paste this. They've already been attacked by ninjas. Take action, or there's guilt. See the parallels? And like email, we're learning to manage Facebook. You've got privacy settings. You can hide updates. I don't really care if you need a gun on Mafia Wars. You can unsubscribe from your friends' posts. I have a friend who every day has to tell everybody how many miles she ran. I don't want to see it anymore. You can create lists of friends and family. If I post pictures of my family vacation, Jeff Roars doesn't want to see those pictures, but guess what? My dad does. You can change how friends see your profile. You can select what's private and public, and you can even choose not to show up in search. These are pretty much the same filters that we started to use on email. So what's this all mean for me? So one of the things our CMO, Jim Liskey, talks about at Scott's is this idea of creating value. And value is perceived benefit divided by perceived cost. And obviously, you want those things moving in the opposite direction. And we apply this to a lot of things that we talk about at Scott's, particularly products and things we do in innovation. If we're going to innovate on products like our Turf Builder grass seed and the new Snap spreader, we're going to ask ourselves, are the costs outweighing the benefits? If the benefits are outweighing the costs. If the costs are going up, and costs could be your time, your money, how hard it is to get it shipped to your house or get it at the store, use of the product, is it easy to understand? That's what creates value. And so let's look at back what we talked about before, those tenets of channel preferences. Benefits would be my time and resources. What is the content? What is it worth? Is it immediate? Is there a longevity to it? How accessible is it going to be? If I just sign up for alerts through Twitter and I follow 200 people and I don't check Twitter every minute, those things are going to get buried. What about cost? Is there a cost for it? What is it like for an app? Does it cost anything? For text alerts, am I opting into a subscription? Is it going to take away from my data plan? How much do I value my privacy? How do I initiate the engagement? Is this company going to be available only through email, or do they have a great 800 number that I can also call and ask them for questions? And again, mixing the formal with personal. Is it formal? Is it personal? And what's the cost for my time for that? So if we look at email, and again, I put the tenets here on the lower left for you to look at. Asking on email, and for Scott's particularly, the content's for me. I know they're going to personalize it to my region and my grass type. It increases my lawn care knowledge. I get tips and advice for my lawn I can only get from Scott's. There's another company out there. They'll put content in a lawn and garden, but when people want to know about their lawn, there's nobody out there. We have a competitive advantage in this. Scott's cares about me, and we truly do, and we make it easy to understand. On the cost side, it doesn't cost you anything, maybe a little bit of your time. We absolutely respect privacy. And signing up is easy. There's really no commitment. You can delete, you can get out of it anytime you want. So how do we know we're providing value? Simple, we ask. So one of the things that we did a couple years ago is we started a survey where at the beginning of the year, we find out people in our database that have never signed up for our subscription service before. We take that same set of people and we ask them the same set of questions at the end of the year and we measure the delta. So in between, in a summer and a spring year of lawn care information, how much did we move the needle? Because remember, we're not selling online. We're directing people to our stores. We are absolutely retailer agnostic. We have a lot of great retail partners out there that we want to work with. So in all the questions that we've asked, we see all the deltas go up. And one particularly I want to point out is one there in the middle. Offers the best help and tips to maintain my lawn. 24% increase. That's a money slide right there. Not to mention, one of the things that we look at in our industry is, are we getting people to apply more product? We're trying to move units. And we show that our email reminder service, and I can't share the data, and I apologize, but it increases the amount of applications a consumer makes in 1 year when they sign up for that service. Again, that's real money. That's something I can go back and talk to the brand about and get them excited. So from our 10 research, some of just the highlights of it, respondents notice an improvement in their lawn and are more satisfied with the overall condition. The lawn applications increase, usage of grass seed increases, so we're cross-selling other products within our inventory. Brand affinity increases, and an overwhelming majority agree that Scotts offers the best help and tips to maintain their lawn. Now we repeated this in 11, and what we did is we took the same list from 10 and we basically moved it into a year 2 study, because we want to see if we can maintain it at that level. The new subscribers from 10 stayed the same on the lawn care applications. That's the people that went into second year. Our new subscribers in 11, though, showed a decrease in the lawn applications. Not too much, not a lot to be alarmed about. But there was indicated there was no change in the overall condition of their lawn. That's not good. But their usage of grass seed increased. Okay, odd. And increased over the prior years, people as well. The brand affinity increased. We saw that as well. And the purchase intent increased. Good. So looking at those bullets 3 and 4, one of the things that we kind of attributed to this was weather. Weather affects our business like nothing else. And weather last year was terrible. Extreme drought in Texas, like nothing we've ever seen. We had terrible conditions in the Northwest. Tons and tons of rain in the Midwest. And then eventually we had a hurricane that came up and wiped out the entire East Coast. It was a terrible year for us. And we are absolutely handicapped in that standpoint. We can't do anything. No amount of advertising or great emails or retailer promotions or coupons is going to fix that. But in our lawn care update, we think that maybe we went a little too far. We made a lot of changes last year, and that top part is what we're really trying to communicate. That's the value prep that we're selling to people, is the regular communications around what to apply to your lawn. We think that we just jammed a little bit too much in that front part. So we simplified it, and we also rebranded it. And the rebranding, it was kind of something that just gave ABM something to do. But also, we wanted to figure out a way to get this into our regular advertising. We could talk about it easier. Telling people the Scotts Lawn Care update wasn't enough. Internally, we refer to it as the email reminder service, because that's what it is. It's a reminder service. But that doesn't sound very friendly to consumers. And again, I'm dealing with brand managers here, so they got to figure out a way to market it. So we came up with My Turf Tips, which I think is a great name for it, because it is yours. We direct this information to you. You asked for it. It's about your location and your lawn. At the top part, so you can see this one goes to Ohio. We talk about your zip code. We simplify the messaging. Instead of just more information on the product, we're saying, hey, here's how to apply it, because that's a top question we get. And then we're also cross-selling, look, if crabgrass wasn't a problem, and this is a little bit of our environmental responsibility, but it's also good lawn care practices. If crabgrass wasn't a problem, don't put a pesticide or an herbicide on your lawn. Put down the regular lawn food. And then we're cross-selling our new Snap Spreader, which is crack, sip, and simple, if you've seen the advertising. So again, selling this. We have 5 regions throughout the country, and we have a Southeast region and Southwest region, which for marketing purposes we refer to as the South regions, because we put them all together. Vice President of Marketing in the South said, you know what, we need to move applications in the South. And I love what you guys are doing on the email program. How can we get more people signed up? Because we know that when people sign up for our email service, when they sign up for My Turf Tips, They apply more product. And so I said, all right, Mike, we'll work on it. We can do advertising, we do this. And he goes, I want to go a little bit further. He goes, what would it take to sign people up in store? And I said, you know what would be really cool? Is all those store counselors have a phone. They either have a BlackBerry or they have an iPhone. Some of them have iPads. So what if we could sign them up in the store? Could we get retailers permissions to do that? And so we worked with, this is working with IT, marketing, the regions, market research, and my team in global services. And so what we did is we created a simple web page, optimized for mobile. We created an icon that we can put on everybody's phone, so IT pushed it out to all of their phones. And when they click that app right on their phone, it opens this mobile web page. Now what's really interesting is you see there where it says queued signups. So if they happen to be in a store that doesn't have Wi-Fi, and we're encouraging them not to do this over their 3G to save on the data plan. So if they're not currently on Wi-Fi, those queues will back up. And the next time that they're on Wi-Fi, it'll all go through. And if they do it properly and they put in their store rep ID, we can track that, so we're also incentivizing them with a sales contest. In addition, if they they'll put in their retailer ID with a hyphen and then the store they're in, just a simple initial, L for Lowe's, H for Home Depot. On the back end, we are customizing that welcome email, thanking people for their loyalty to Scotts and for shopping at one of our preferred retail partners. And for Lowe's, we're also cross-selling their My Lowe's program through that welcome email. It was a great, for us to just go that extra step is all we needed to get the retailers to buy in. And to date, we've signed up close to 20,000 people in stores. So how do we know that's going to be effective? We're going to take our master list, and everything that comes in through that mobile website has a campaign code. We can break that campaign code down by the promotion, and then we're going to measure things like, are these people opening the emails regularly? Are they unsubscribing? Because what we're basically looking for, are they qualified leads? And then we have a measure that we use to say, what is an active subscriber? So it's basically, have they opened an email at least once in the last 6 months? Have they clicked a link, things like that. And then our long-term value survey. We'll look at those responses and see, are they any different from the baseline? Are they better or worse? And we pretty much do that with all of our promotion programs now. We kind of break them down this way. But once I showed this to Mike, our vice president for marketing in the South, he was all in. Chips are all in. He said, let's do it. Let's sign people up. Also engaging with some of our biggest opportunities, and if any of you are baseball fans out there, I'm sure you've seen our advertising. We are the official lawn care company of Major League Baseball. We've previously doing a lot of things with NASCAR and other programs. We've, again, chips all in, everything with baseball. So we've seen a lot of great progress. But one of the things in talking to the head of promotions for baseball and for sports marketing at Scotts is he said, you know, we do a lot of these programs out of baseball, and the feedback is, okay, we get it. Scotts, lawns, baseball, enough. So he said, let's stop hitting with all the lawn care messages. These are people who are having fun at sporting events. Let's have some fun with them. And so we've kind of shifted our strategy a little bit to engage, talking about re-engaging. We're getting these people obviously interested in Scotts, games, and in our contests and stuff. Let's get them over to Facebook, because Facebook's about entertaining. It's about fun. And so we also have our new Snap Spreader. We got our Snaps Perks program, which you can find on Facebook as well. So anybody who buys a Snap Spreader, we're asking them into an online community where they give feedback on the product, can consult with each other, and they get points along the way. So looking at Facebook as a communication channel, again, it's entertaining. Facebook users welcome marketers, but they fear it may turn into spam. There's that S word again. So you have to be interesting. If you're interesting, no one's going to call it spam. Facebook users worry about their privacy, and the act of liking is often an expression. Hey, I like this brand. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, is it permission marketing? Not really. They're not saying I'm giving you permission to throw stuff at me. They're saying, I like you. We're partnering together. We're family, right? Here's a slide from our digital strategy, and one of the things I want to share with you guys. So looking at all of our brands, and we have brands like Scotts, Miracle-Gro, Roundup, Ortho, we even have a bird seed line, and we've even got some of our brands like Substral and Benelux across seas. On the left side here, you see the problems, plan, and pleasure and inspirations, because we kind of break down to 3 Ps. So what's our response? And so we're looking to be the consumer's trusted lawn and garden advisor. We can replicate a one-to-one experience with a Scotts expert, build relationships, deliver sales. I can take that as a meat grinder, take whatever brand I want, whatever interaction I'd like the consumer to have, and throw it through there, and when it comes out on the back end, I can get an idea, say, you know what, that particular problem would work great on Facebook. That particular interaction is great for email. That particular interaction is great for a co-branded strategy with one of our retailers. Again, we're going to go back to the value equation with Facebook. How do I increase benefits? Content's interesting. The brand's active and responds. They offer me something. Helps me express myself. Cost, I want them to go down, remember? Costs me nothing but my time. The brand respects my privacy. There's that word again. I just like the click. And I want to know what appears in my news feed. Weird that I put that on costs, huh? But that's something that's mine. I own it. And if you ever took economics when you were in school, and I shudder, did not like economics, and it took me forever to understand the concept of a utility. And I argued with the professor. I'm like, I grew up in a house with engineers. I'm like, I don't get this. But work with me here. There's utility in that. So Scott's and Facebook, I'd like to point out we are now, and I'm proud of 118,000 likes as of this snapshot, and I think we're even over that. Beginning of the year, we were at 20,000. This is all stuff we've driven through our interactions with Major League Baseball, getting fans here. But our plan is, going back to the 3 Ps, we're going more toward the planning, some problem solving, some inspiration, because that's what the brand is. And we're finding that that's really our sweet spot on Facebook. And we got a lot of activations this year. On opening day, and I cannot remember what that MLB has a name for that sign behind there, but you basically see we're promoting our Facebook. We're the sponsors of the All-Star Game this year, doing things with that. A lot of talk on Mike and Mike. They're going to be doing a lot of mentions of Scott's this year and driving people to Facebook. Boys and Girls Club is a sponsorship that the Major League Baseball has gotten behind this year, and they asked us to agree to that. So we're asking people if they come like us on Facebook, we'll donate the Boys and Girls Club up to $150,000. We have the major sponsors of the Beat the Streak game with Major League Baseball, which you can get this is basically the contest works. It's basically you pick a player every day. For those of you who don't play, it's pretty fun. And you're trying to beat Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak. So you pick a player every day. If that player gets a hit, you got a hitting streak. And if your hitting streak gets broke, you can go like Scott's on Facebook, and we'll start your hitting streak over. So if you were at 7 and your hitting streak was broke, and you go like Scott's, you'll automatically go to 8. So you get an opportunity to do that. So when talking to Major League Baseball, they were doing so many things with social media, and they had so many engagements in that area that I turned to the guy, head of sports marketing when we were there, and I said, we're crazy not to go lockstep with these guys in this, because this is an awesome way for us to elevate the brand and get people talking and have some fun. And so we've got a lot more things coming out this year with baseball. In fact, they've invited us back to New York next month to talk about how things are going and see what we can't do more. It's just great to have a good partner like that. On the Miracle-Gro side, going through the 3 Ps, more about inspiration. You know, Miracle-Gro is about giving you that green thumb you never knew you had. And so getting people out there in gardening, especially with the trend in edible gardening now and our new program online with the First Bite. It's some planning. I mean, there's obviously planning a garden, but Miracle-Gro really isn't that trusted advisor brand for that. Very little problem solving. You know, Miracle-Gro doesn't really have too many products that are going to solve your lawn and garden problems. We're about trying to get you to help grow things and cultivate, make them nice. But a fun story about Miracle-Gro. You see, we have over 1 million fans. We did a program this year with Farmville. I know a lot of people don't like Farmville, but it fit. 80% of their players were telling us that they either garden or are interested in gardening as a hobby. And so it's pretty fun. I mean, this thing hit on a Friday. And what Zynga does is they roll this thing out to about 25% of their audience. And if they don't find any bugs, they'll go to about 50%. And if they don't find any more bugs, then they'll roll it out to everybody. So around 2 o'clock or so, we knew it was hitting most of the Farmville players. And it was like a train wreck. I mean, we were sitting in the office, and we just kept hitting refresh. And we went from 4,000 likes to 8,000 to 10,000 to 20,000. By the time I drove home and I was calling my boss who was in New York, I said, you wouldn't believe we're at 250,000. She said, you got to be kidding me. By the time I get home and get out of my car, we're at 400,000. I think that, and everybody's emailing each other, and they're tweeting, and they just can't believe it. I think by Tuesday, we'd finally crossed 1 million. A little bit about mobile and the value equation. You got to think in 2 terms. You got either kind of SMS or apps. And I won't get into a mobile site because, again, we're talking about a communications preference. Is it immediate SMS? There's a local community outside of Columbus, Ohio, that the cops regularly text when there are traffic problems. Again, it's just this little community, but people love it. And they tweet them as well. So they'll tell you when the telephone pole fell down or whatever. People will sign up for these. Again, it's immediate, and that's a great communication for that, is SMS. On the app side, what we like to think about is, can I personalize the content? Because if you can't personalize the content, if the app doesn't have anything that I can maybe access later for reference, if it doesn't do anything for me, just optimize the site for mobile, especially with HTML5. And I think that's kind of where we're going to see apps going. And on the cost side, is there a charge? Is it a 99-cent download? Is it a free download? Is there a charge for the texting plan? How easy it is to use, how easy it is to understand. And again, marketing on my personal device. This is where I now carry pictures of my family. I don't put them in my wallet anymore. They're on my phone. All my friends and family are on this phone. This is my personal advice. That phone number has been given out to a lot of people I care about. So by all means, you have to respect that privacy. And then our mobile apps, really quick. We have one for Scott's, and then we have one for our ortho. We have this enormous book called The Problem Solver. We basically took all those problems, we put them into an app. Again, you can save those things. So if you have problems in your yard, or you discover a problem in your yard, you can say, I want to save this, and then we'll give you the advice for the next year how to avoid it. We did have a texting program. We still do. Not that big of a fan of it. I like having the short code for other reasons. But again, let's go back to the communication preferences and providing value. Is there really an immediate need to know when to feed your lawn? Not so much. And we're already doing a good job of that through our emails. So we're kind of getting away from the SMS. We tried it. I think it's okay. You know, we did try it. It sounded like a good idea, but I think as things have moved, we've kind of evolved that a little bit. A little bit about Twitter. I don't like Twitter. I really don't. The way we look at Twitter is a lot like Facebook. It's a place for help. We see the research. We know that people who do like Twitter have a high affinity for Twitter. They want to be able to contact brands that way, so we have Twitter handles. They are run by our customer service team, and so if you have questions about our products, they're there to answer them, again, in 140 characters. Sometimes they may send you a link, and a lot of times they'll tell you to call, because that's the easiest way. But if Twitter is your communication channel preference, we're there. So finally, I wanted to leave you with a story. I will admit I listened to Colin Cowherd on occasion, and he was talking about the resurgence of Phil Mickelson this year. And he went right to the source, and he was talking to Butch Harmon. And if some of you know, Butch Harmon was previously Tiger Woods' golf coach. Bear with me, there's a great ending to this story. And so Butch Harmon did a great job in not only revamping Phil's game, but for those of you who are going to go out and play golf later today, and it doesn't sound like at the sanctuary, so today's your only chance. You know that golf is played right here, between the ears. And so he worked on Phil's mind game, but he also taught him some of Tiger's tricks. And one of the things he taught Phil was to putt out first. And for those of you who don't golf, basically the one who's farthest away from the hole gets to putt first. And then you have the floor, you have the opportunity to putt out. Why would he do that? Because when Tiger would do that, all those hundreds of fans around that gallery would get up and start to move to the next green. And there's some poor sap sitting on the green that still has to putt out. Meanwhile, they're folding up lawn chairs, they're clapping, they're yelling, "Go Tiger, you the man," whatever, they're moving on. Commotion. Who wants that in the back of their swing? He taught Phil to do that. Earlier this year, Phil and Tiger went head-to-head. As you know, Tiger Woods had lost a lot of fans of the things that he's done, his indiscretions. Phil was putting out first. Fans were moving to the next green. Tiger was flabbergasted. Phil kicked his butt. Moral of the story, he took his fans. You see a guy here signing autographs. He's a family man. He's on commercials. He's an advocate for breast cancer. Women love this guy. They want their kids to be like him. He's a brand. He's embraced his fans, and he's told them, let's go to the next green together. And that's all I'm asking you to do. Thanks. Take some questions, or?
You're good. Yeah, we can do. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, actually, let's do. I think we have time for probably one question, and then what we have is we are going to be doing roundtables, and so one of the things I failed to mention was that after we do our sessions here, we will be doing roundtables, which is an opportunity just to kind of gather, follow up, have a closer conversations, and ask some more questions. So, and Kip will be moderating or leading one of those roundtables this afternoon. So, So why don't we do this? Let's just focus on at that time, and we'll move on to the next panel. So
Great.
thank you very much
Yep.
again.